Hey everybody, this is Bill. It's that time of year again, and in this video, we're talking college football. We will provide a link in the description to our preseason top 25 and All-America team for your review, but in this video, we're going to offer the predicted finish and a small preview of the Pacific 12 Conference. Now in the conference, Utah appears to have become a national championship contender, while USC made some massive moves in an effort to become nationally relevant once again. So who else is rising up? Well, folks, let's preview it. We'll start things off in the South. Colorado is shotgun on the field in the South. Now, it's easy to forget that Colorado really impressed in 2020, but with a much harder slate, they failed to build on that success. Now, tight end Brady Russell returns after leading the team in receptions, but Baylor transfer R.J. Sneed will be the primary target for returning quarterback Brendan Lewis. Now, the Buffs' top running back hit the transfer portal, so it's next man up. Transfers from Alabama and Iowa, both of whom know something about the big uglies up front, come in to claim spots on the offensive line. Strong safety Isaiah Lewis and linebacker Quinn Perry, the top two tacklers from 2021, return, but experience elsewhere is limited. Now the non-con brings TCU to Boulder to open the season, before the Buffaloes hit the road to very stout Air Force and Minnesota. They could be 0-3, then welcoming in UCLA. Now, Colorado is probably going to be a tough out for many teams, but the youth and menacing schedule has them on the outside looking in 2022. Fifth in the South, we have Arizona. Now, we've been very impressed with the accomplishments of new coach Jeb Fish. Yes, the Cats were 1-11 last year, but other than getting bombed at Colorado, they comported themselves pretty well all year. Now, 15 starters are back. On offense, much of the running back room returns, as does the quarterback. But Arizona welcomes in transfer signal caller Jaden DeLaura from Washington State. This guy's good. He's going to be the man at quarterback. A pair of JUCOs come in on the offensive line to help out. Now, the Cats had issues on the stop side. But a year under the belt with the new system, that could certainly help things. The secondary does have a chance to be pretty decent. Now, the Cats open at dangerous San Diego State before returning home to host Mississippi State, who's coming all the way across the country. Can they catch Hail State jet-lagged and pull off a program-changing upset? We'll have to see. But the improvement continues for Arizona, and that's going to be the case this year. Fourth in the South, we have Arizona State, although we admit we're not quite sure what to make of the Sun Devils. With turmoil surrounding the program, a host of quality players hit the transfer portal, but there still is talent remaining. Now, Florida transfer Emory Jones, who, although talented, has been turnover-plagued, failing to live up to his wide-ranging abilities, he's come in to play quarterback. Now, the running game lacks experience, but does bring in Wyoming transfer Xavier Valladay. Now, some issues are in the receiving corps, where Utah transfer Brian Thompson arrives. That'll help. Ladarius Henderson anchors the offensive line. Now, linebacker Merlin Robertson is very good. He's the defensive leader, and top returning tackler Kyle Soule returns. But overall, the units vary in experience. So it's hard to see the Devils going 8-5 like they did last year. But if Herm Edwards plans on remaining head coach, they're going to need to do it. So we're going to be interested to watch how Arizona State performs this year. Very talented, lost a lot of players, kind of has a coach on the hot seat, don't know exactly what's going on, but we'll keep our eye on them. Third in the South, we have Chip Kelly's UCLA Bruins. Now, the Bruins might be a good team this year. Dorian Thompson-Robinson, a huge recruit from the Terry Donahue, we're joking, but he's been there for 100 years. He's back at quarterback. DTR is very talented. He's going to work behind an offensive line which returns in its entirety for Chip Kelly. That's an important note right there. Zach Charbonnet returns as the Bruins' leading rusher. Receivers transfer in from Duke and Texas A&M to bolster an inexperienced group of wideouts. Now, the downside for UCLA is they only have 2 defensive starters back, and none are considered consensus all-conference performers. So if the Bruins are going to challenge in the division, they're going to need to step it up on the stop side, because depending upon DTR to get it all done is not going to be enough. Now, the non-con schedule is soft. That allows time to grow. but we don't think the Bruins can quite get to the top, but we do find them as a bowl team in 2022. Second, we have the Southern California Trojans, who we have ranked 10th nationally. Now, USC dropped a bombshell and hired Lincoln Riley away from Oklahoma, where he had tremendous success. Then, with the NIL raging, several Sooner players, including highly touted quarterback Caleb Williams, followed Riley out to Los Angeles. So with all these transfer players with a high level of talent already on hand, it would seem the Trojans are primed to make some serious noise in the Pac-12. Now, Williams is uber talented and experienced in running the offense that Riley's going to employ. So we look for the Trojans to be proficient offensively. Now, veteran running back Travis Dye, he's come in from Oregon, and he's going to have a good line returning 4 starters to run behind. Now, defensively, things are not as well put together. Although only 3 starters return, there is a basis to work from. Tui Tuipulotu was a first-team all-conference player last year. He's a terror in the middle up front. He kept people up at night. Now, Shane Lee is a great linebacker. He comes in from Alabama. He'll be starting, and Raylan Goforth is also there at linebacker. Now, joining them is Eric Gentry, who is a potential All-America player who comes in from Arizona State. He's got sky-high talent. Now, Melly Blackman transfers over from Colorado to lead the secondary. He was the Buffs' best defender. Now, Kalen Bullock is a rising talent at safety, and Oklahoma transfer Latrell McCutcheon should figure prominently. Now, if these folks all remain healthy, it's hard to imagine USC finishing worse than 8-4. However, it looks like the Trojans will be underdogs only at Utah, so 10-2 would seem reasonable as Lincoln Riley gets it going. But they'll be very fun to watch for sure, and boy, are they going to be good down the road, we think. Winning the South in 2022, we have Utah. Now, the Utes are a veteran team with 14 starters returning that is a dark horse candidate to make the college football playoff. Utah has an honors candidate at quarterback in Cameron Rising, who took over after the Utes stumbled out of the gate last year. Rising's a very effective thrower, and he can run it as well. Tavion Thomas, who led Utah in rushing last year, he's back at running back, and he's considered an all-Pac-12 performer. 4 of the top 5 pass catchers return. This is led by all-Pac-12 tight end Brant Kuth. Now, Utah's always strong in the trenches, and the offensive line is led this year by offensive tackle Braden Daniels, who's an All-America candidate. On the stop side, defensive end Van Fillinger returns, and defensive tackle Devin Kafusi transfers over from BYU, and DE Gabe Reed is going to come over from Stanford. Now, Mohamed Diabate, who transfers in from Florida, will assume a linebacker spot. Talent is available in the secondary, led by corner Clark Phillips. Now, Utah opens at Florida, and although the Gators are in transition, it is hot and some kind of loud down there in the swamp, so we got to watch that game. But we doubt that if Utah remains healthy, that they're going to be an underdog anywhere along their schedule. Historically, they'll stumble somewhere, but maybe not this year. They could well be a playoff team, so please be advised. But we do have Utah winning the South. So we have Utah, for now, holding off Southern California in the South. Who will the top teams be in the North? Well, let's have a look. Now, up in the North, bringing up the rear, we have Washington State. The Cougs were seemingly going places until they let their adherence to COVID mandates run off their coach. What a shame. Now, with Nick Rolovich gone, talented quarterback Jaden De Laura took his talents cross-conference to Arizona. Additionally, the top 2021 rushers and receivers are gone, so the Cougs appear to be starting over offensively. Now, Cameron Ward transfers in from Incarnate Word, and he is an outstanding quarterback. And Wisconsin transfer Nakia Watson, he's transferred in to take over the running back spot, so there is hope. Now on defense, the entire front returns, led by defensive ends Ron Stone and Brennan Jackson. Nickelback Armani Marsh is another talented defender and the team's top returning tackler. So there is hope for Washington State this year. It'll be interesting to see how they all respond to the coaching change and so forth. But it is hard to see Wazoo mounting a challenge in the North, so sustaining some stability and growth for 2022 seems the plan. We have the Cal Bears in 5th place. Now, Cal half sort of reminds one of Northwestern. Well-coached football teams both. And every time you give up on them, they seem to rise up and have a good year. Now, a veteran Cal team disappointed last year, so the heat has warmed up. This year, only 8 total starters return. Now, offensively, the statistical leaders have departed. Jake Plummer Jr. is going to step in at quarterback, with Damian Moore at running back and Jeremiah Hunter at receiver stepping up. Linebacker Jackson Sermon, who transferred in after leading the Washington Huskies in stops in 2021, and corner Lamagia Hearns lead the defensive unit, which had some moments last year. 5 starters return there. Now, Cal faces Notre Dame out of conference and travels to USC in a revenge game. It's doubtful the Bears go bowling, but their backs are against the wall, so expect that they're not going to be a pushover. We'll have our eye on Cal to see how Justin Wilcox and his team do this year. We have been shocked at the goings-on at the farm recently, and we have Stanford 4th. Now, the Cardinal were carved in stone at 9-3 for years, but they have fallen off significantly with 3 consecutive losing seasons. Can the well-respected David Shaw get this turned around? Well, he might this year. 10 offensive starters return. Tanner McKee is back at signal caller, along with the top 3 2021 receivers, including top tight end Benjamin Yurosek. The line is decent, but a new running back is needed, but Stanford's got a long history at this position. 7 starters are back on the stop side with potential all-conference performers found at each level. Now the schedule's rough with Notre Dame and Brigham Young out of conference. Good grief. But we expect Stanford to be a pretty sound football team this fall, and we do expect them to really challenge for a bowl game. We have Washington 3rd. Seems like things are sort of starting over for the Huskies, but this is not a bad team, and if they get things together earlier than expected, they can do some damage. Indiana transfer quarterback Michael Penix Jr. will be the signal caller over Dylan Morris and legacy Sam Horde, who have failed to seize the position, although they've had plenty of opportunities. Penix is dangerous if he can stay healthy, but the skill position talent is inexperienced. They have a great tackle in Jackson Kirkland, and he leads the offensive line. Now, only 5 starters are back defensively, and the strength is in the front 7. We'll have to see how the secondary develops. A home game with Michigan State gives the Huskies an early opportunity. Now, Penix is magical, and we view new head coach Kalen DeBoer as a strong hire, but the Huskies do seem a year or 2 away from a serious challenge up in the north. Second, we have Oregon State. An experienced team returns, and we like them, but the schedule is really tough, including the very best from the Mountain West right out of the gate before facing the kings of the Pac-12 with USC at home and Utah on the road. Ouch! Now, Chance Nolan returns at quarterback, as do the Beavers' top returning rusher and 2 of the top receivers, led by Trayshawn Harrison. The line is very solid. Omar Spates leads the defensive unit from his linebacking spot. He's a great one. And the unit returns 9 starters. Nickelback Jaden Grant, he's very active, and he leads the secondary. Now, Coach Jonathan Smith, a former Beavers quarterback, is doing an outstanding job in Corvallis. And there's some stadium construction over there that's going to limit capacity. That could somehow enhance the difficulty that opponents have in playing there. All that in mind, Oregon State is a dangerous team, and it's a team that we expect to be bowling in 2022. Winning the North, we have the Oregon Ducks. Now, Oregon lost head coach Mario Cristobal as he returned home to Miami to take over the Hurricanes. Enter Dan Lanning, who excelled as a defensive assistant with Georgia, and he looks the part. With his forte on the stop side, Lanning has to appreciate that the best player on the team returning is All-America linebacker Noah Sewell, who gives the Ducks a foundation defensively on a unit returning 7 starters. Now, up front, the Ducks will be disruptive, and there is a talented, experienced group up there. Offensively, Oregon seems to be in transition. Bo Nix, who has shown flashes, arrives as a Auburn Tiger legacy transfer. It will be interesting to see how Nix fits in, but he does have a relationship with new offensive coordinator Kenny Dillingham. There are holes at running back with the 2 top rushers having departed, but the Big Uglies are perhaps the strongest unit of the team this year, with all 5 starters returning, led by honors candidates TJ Bass and Alex Forsyth. Now, Oregon travels across the country to open at Georgia, of all teams, in Atlanta, otherwise known as the Bulldogs' backyard. So the Ducks start 0-1. Now, in year one of the staff with differing schemes, although there is talent on hand, it will be tough for Oregon to challenge nationally, we think. We do see a likelihood of 3 losses, provided things go smoothly and the quarterback position is productive. We wouldn't be surprised with 8-4 either, but we think Lanning's a very good coach, and we're going to be watching to see how the Ducks perform this season. So we have Oregon facing Utah in a familiar matchup in the Pac-12 championship game, and we look for the same result, a resounding Utah victory. How good is Utah, and can they make and or win the college football playoff? Is Oregon State, as we think, better than most anticipate? How quickly will USC rise under Lincoln Riley? And what has happened on the farm in Stanford? Is a turnaround about to happen there? UCLA is set to score some surprising wins. What do you think? And is Arizona State in limbo? What is going on over there? What do you anticipate happening there? Leave us some comments on how you see things happening, how you see the conference shaping up. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Now, folks, please feel welcome to follow us on Facebook at The Color and Pageantry. We invite you to like the video and subscribe to our page. We'll be putting out a weekly Top 25. But more importantly, we want to thank you for taking the time out to watch. Now, the Pac-12 this is the last year kind of the Pac-12. We got teams leaving, so it's going to be interesting to see how emotions are out there. But be a fun year. We'll be watching.